Welcome, Lucy. It's great to have you on.
Thank you.
So, to my understanding, you're the head of Feminism Club.
I am.
So, how long have you been a member of that club?
3 years, since freshman year.
Okay. And what got you to join that club?
So I always grew up with really liberal parents, and so that idea of equality and feminism was really present in my household. My mom's really strong-willed, and so I always grew up knowing I was equal to my brother, and just it was obvious to me. It wasn't like I had to question it. And so when I got to upper school and I saw there was Fem Club, I thought, okay, well, that's normal, let's join it. It's equality. And so as I got older through the club, I realized I wanted to take on the leadership, and eventually came to be a co-head, or a senior head, because there's only juniors.
Do you think if you weren't raised in that liberal household, you would still have the same values?
I think I would, just based off who I am as a person. Like, I'm very outgoing and strong-willed, and I mean, I disagree with my parents on a lot of things. Like, I'm not like spitting out the facts that I've learned my whole life. Like, we have political disagreements, but I think it's obviously easier if you've been raised with that input going into your head that that's what you believe, and that's always being like said and around your house. Then of course it's easier, but I think I still would be if I hadn't been raised like that.
So why do you think it's important that we have a feminism club at our school?
I think it's important because when you're at a school that teaches the beliefs every single day that you need to empower young girls for a lifetime and teach women to be strong, independent women, having a club that really reaffirms and supports those beliefs is really necessary. Because what would we be, a really girl-centered school, if we didn't have a whole club around supporting girls and making sure their qualities, even when they have the boy sink or swim counterpart, which can sometimes make it feel like you're not totally equal.
So do you think it's more important for St. Catherine's to have this club or St. Chris?
I think St. Catherine, just because you're going to want to have a feminism club at St. Catherine's, and when you are a woman going to St. Chris, sometimes you can begin to doubt it. Just like when you go to St. Chris, sometimes you're not taken as seriously. I've definitely experienced going to St. Chris and saying something and not being taken seriously, but having one of my guy friends say it and they're taken seriously. So I think if you begin to doubt if you're actually really on the same playing field, having a feminism club and just going back and talking and really having your beliefs reaffirmed and like knowing that it's like a meeting place, like a safe space. Not
Okay.
GSA, but it's like a safe space like that.
What would you say to someone that thinks feminism isn't really needed at this time and place, that it's already been dealt with and that people are already equal?
Wage gap says it differently first. And second, we still haven't even passed, or the ERA had never been ratified, so actually under law, like, we're not equal. There's no Equal Rights Amendment. It was started in 1921, I believe it was proposed, so almost 100 years ago. And we still have not ratified it. So technically we're not under law equal, but I mean, I guess in a sense we are moving in the right steps, but we're not fully there.
How much longer do you think it'll take for everyone until your eyes be completely equal?
I don't know if it will ever really be completely equal. It's like still with, like, for instance, there's a law that says that African Americans and white people are equal, but they're not really treated equal at all in a lot of cases. So I don't know if it will ever really become equal, just because societal norms, we've all grown up since the very beginning of time. It's always been like men, like hunters and gatherers, men did the hunting and women did the gathering.
Interesting. What's a common issue you face day to day as a woman in society?
Like I said, like being taken seriously, like not always being, like when I have conversations with guys, I kind of, if I say something that's like smart or like actually making an opinion, won't be taken seriously. Always just kind of, haha, okay. And then they continue the conversation. I'm like, oh, never mind, that was dumb.
And what about in the bigger picture of things? What's something that you face as a woman in society that's very hard to deal with?
I mean, it's not necessarily that I face it, it's just like a bigger issue, of course, is women are more likely to be victims of human trafficking and more likely to have cases of domestic violence and abuse. And there's less women in the tech industry, there's less women in the business industry, they're less represented in government. So they're not issues that I've directly faced, even though they impact you, because when younger girls see less women up in higher places, they don't always think that they can get to those higher places. If there's no woman up there, what makes a young child think that they belong to be up there if none the women are up in that high standard, high tech executives or high business moguls?
You just mentioned people in a higher position in female roles. Mm-hmm. Who's someone in that higher position or higher role that you look up to that's a woman?
One of my female role models is Ellen DeGeneres. I think she's a woman who faces just day-to-day gender equality, but she's also a lesbian woman, and feminism is really a great idea, but it has to be intersectional, because all women come from a different background, and so you have to look at their own gender identity with what they've come from. So like intersectional feminism would be a black woman and what they faced, or an Asian woman and what they faced, or an LGBTQ woman, because there's not just like a definition of a woman. There's so many different types of backgrounds and all different types of experiences. So Ellen really, one, helps everyone. She's just an amazing person, love Ellen, but she also shows the fight between being a woman but also being an LGBTQ woman and what that's like for her.
Interesting. And moving forward, going back to what you said about Feminism Club, how would you try and, I don't want to say market, but kind of give off the impression to someone that isn't a member to try and join and just learn a little bit more about it?
I think the first step is really to destigmatize it. A while ago, like 4 years ago, there was St. Chris had an actual strong feminism club. Like my friend Abby Wood, her brother was part of it, and she's talked to me about it. But over time, it became stigmatized as weird, and it's sad because I've actually heard St. Chris guys come up to me and have actual conversations where they say, "Oh yeah, I'm a feminist," or "I actually do believe in parts of." If they don't say I'm a feminist, they say like I do believe in a lot of parts of feminism, but like I'm not going to go to a club because it's weird. If that makes sense. It's like trying to break the stigma. I'm not exactly sure about how to go about it because we haven't been able to do it yet. But to find some way to unstigmatize it as being a weird reason, because it's equality in the end. It's not Feminism Club is trying to be like St. Catherine's girls, St. Christopher's boys. It's more just like, hey, that's me in the middle.
Exactly. Do you think that's a large part due to the perception of all feminists are extremists?
Yeah, there's extremists in every movement. Like no matter what, there's going to be extreme people, and no matter what you do. And usually those extreme people kind of end up being the stereotype for everything, like feminazi. You're a feminazi. Like, no, not every feminist is a feminazi. Like, I don't consider myself a feminazi, and extremists sometimes label the whole group, and that's what people start to just view as feminism, or feminazis. I wish they wouldn't.
Okay, I think that's all I have for you. That's perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure, Lucy.